Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, March 14th. Very interesting scenario setting up for the Sunday-Monday time frame. That could include accumulating snow here in the I-95 corridor between D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City, and it is possible that there could even be significant accumulating snow in that time period. A lot of details to work out. Of course, this time of the year, climatology is against significant accumulating snow. As soon as you get into the middle part of March, certainly climatology does not favor significant accumulation of snow, but it certainly has happened in the past, and there are signs that it could happen again later Sunday into Monday. We'll go through three different computer forecast models. There's still a lot of disagreements and still a ways to go before many of the details are ironed out, but the potential is there for accumulating snow later Sunday into Monday. Let's start off with the very latest surface map for the U.S. A couple of main players here I want to point out. First of all, here is another Arctic frontal system showing up on the map here, dropping southward across central Canada. There is a strong Arctic high pressure system just to the north here, and that is a crucial player as it will send colder air back into the mid-Atlantic region later on this weekend as that high progresses in this fashion to the east, southeast, towards the southeastern part of Canada. From this position right here, which is where we'll be located early next week, it will send cold Arctic air down the east side of the Appalachian Mountains, and it will act as an anchor that can sustain some cold air, a very necessary ingredient for snow any time of the year, but especially in March, is to have a strong Arctic high pressure system anchored to the north to supply some cold air into the region. Meanwhile, kind of an innocuous looking little low pressure area right here in the southwestern part of the U.S. This is actually associated with a strong upper level trough. That upper level trough moves from west to east across the southern U.S., ultimately becomes a main player in our potential snow event here in the I-95 corridor later Sunday into Monday. Still some questions as to how quickly that moves out. Does it move out in kind of a elongated fashion, a couple of pieces, and that'll determine not only what we get in terms of precipitation later Sunday into Monday, but how much we get and the timing. There very well could be two batches of precipitation headed our way, one like Sunday night into early Monday, and then kind of a lull, and then a second batch coming later in the day on Monday. So two main players, this feature out here down in the southwest U.S., and most important of all, this Arctic high up in the southern part of Canada. Well, another way to look at that feature out in the southwestern part of the country is to take a look at the very latest upper level map. This is 500 millibars, middle part of the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet, and here it is, a main player that will play a big role in the Sunday-Monday event here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Upper level, deep trough here that moves from west to east across the southern U.S. and eventually starts to pull out towards the east coast by early part of next week. And here's a radar loop of the southwestern part of the U.S. Not much precipitation, but a little bit of a rotation here associated with that deep upper level low. So there's some activity at the surface, not much, but this does become a main player over the next 72 hours or so. Well, let's now get into last night's zero-Z computer forecast models. We'll break down the GFS model, the NAM model, and then take a look at the Canadian model run for this upcoming scenario. First thing I want to start off with is pretty big differences right now between the GFS and the NAM, both U.S. models. Here's the upper level feature on Monday morning as forecasted by the GFS model from last night's zero-Z model run. That upper level low that is currently over Arizona moves to the east across the southern part of the U.S. Very healthy looking system here way down to the south as of Monday morning. Now here is the NAM. Notice quite a difference. Same time period. This is for Monday morning. The GFS way down in the northern Gulf with that upper level feature. The NAM quite a bit farther to the north. And this ends up, and we'll see in a moment here, kind of results in a big difference between the NAM and the GFS. Because the NAM is farther north and stronger, much more precipitation moves into the Mid-Atlantic region, especially up across Pennsylvania and New Jersey, for example. And in fact, it gets so strong and so much farther to the north that mixing issues become a serious question here up across Pennsylvania, certainly in the Delaware and D.C. metro areas. So quite a significant difference, and that's the reason why we're seeing what we'll see in a moment here in the surface maps, a difference between the GFS and the NAM model runs from last night. Well, let's start off by looking at the surface maps from the GFS model run, and again, we'll look at the NAM as well as the Canadian model. This is for Sunday evening, and as we discussed earlier, nice Arctic high pressure right up there in a position that favors cold air dropping southward along the Appalachian mountain chain into the big cities of the I-95 corridor. Notice where this rain-snow line is also on the GFS. Farther south and east of D.C. at this time, and low pressure here moving towards the northeast from the Gulf of Mexico with precipitation in the form of snow already into the I-95 corridor as of Sunday evening. Let's now jump ahead 6 hours. Excuse me. 6 hours later, the GFS still has cold enough for snow across Pennsylvania and New Jersey, perhaps even down at the D.C. metro region. Certainly this time of the year, and pretty much, excuse me, any time of the year you can have sleet or rain mixing in here. That could become an issue here in this particular scenario. But the GFS continues to move a relatively weak low pressure system in the southeastern part of the U.S. towards the northeast. Let's now jump ahead 6 hours. And by this time, the low is moving off the coast. Still a healthy looking precipitation event, primarily in the form of snow north of the Mason-Dixon line and even some accumulating snow down in the D.C. region. Notice here that high pressure, the Arctic high, sits still during this entire event, according to the forecasts from last night. And that, of course, is a key player here in that position. It does present the possibility of cold air being sustained enough to get a prolonged accumulating snow event. 6 hours later, still a kind of a secondary area here. We're into the afternoon hours on Monday. Kind of a second bullseye of precipitation over central part of Pennsylvania. Again, there are some signs that there could be two waves of precipitation, one Sunday night into early Monday, then maybe a little bit of a lull, and then it picks up again later in the day on Monday. High pressure still sitting there over southeastern Canada with the rain-snow line just to the south and east of D.C. Now let's take a look at last night's NAM model run. Remember, it had a much more developed upper-level low farther to the north and east at this time. This is actually a Monday evening forecast map. Notice the rain-snow line here cutting through D.C. region. GFS was a little bit colder with a little bit weaker of a solution. The NAM has a stronger low farther to the north. High pressure is anchored there over the northern part of the Great Lakes. Now let's jump ahead 6 hours. 6 hours later, more in the way of precipitation compared to the GFS model run, and a little bit farther to the north. In other words, a little bit warmer of a solution here as that rain-snow line already on the doorstep in Philadelphia. Again, the NAM is stronger, more precipitation, and ultimately a warmer scenario compared to last night's GFS model run. Let's now jump ahead another 6 hours. Well, here we go. As of late in the day on Monday, this would be Monday morning, significant precipitation here depicted by the NAM model run, resulting in significant snow possibilities especially for upstate Pennsylvania. But again, it's a little bit warmer of a solution for the I-95 corridor, so there could be issues here with rain, sleet mixing in with the snow at this time, according to the NAM model run. Now, I believe that this is a little bit too strong and a little bit too far to the north and east, perhaps ending up somewhere blending in the GFS, and the NAM will be the way to go. Let's take another look here at the Canadian model. Well, here's the forecast map for late in the day on Sunday. We'll walk through the Canadian model on using hourly increments. Here, the rain begins in the D.C. region, but rather quickly changes over to snow here. This is now about 10 o'clock Sunday night, 10 p.m. Sunday night, and snow moving into Pennsylvania. It has significant snow now in D.C. and points north and east. This is, again, last night's Canadian model run. Continuation of snow from just about D.C. across to southern Pennsylvania. Mixing issues become certainly an issue here from the district on south at this time. We're now into early Monday morning. Low pressure moving off the mid-Atlantic coastline, and a mix of sleet, perhaps even freezing rain at this time across D.C. Still snow in Philadelphia and New York City, and will continue on. And notice kind of a second area popping up here with significant snow here. Now, this is later in the day on Monday, and that continues to move to the north and east. Basically all snow at this time from D.C. across Pennsylvania, and that too moves to the north and east into New York. In other words, the Canadian kind of has two main batches of precipitation, Sunday night and early Monday, then maybe a little bit of a lull for a few hours, and then kind of a second batch later in the day on Monday. So a lot to look at later on today with the updated computer forecast models. Accumulating snow is certainly a threat for Sunday night and Monday throughout the I-95 corridor. Significant accumulations is on the table here for this particular event. Stay tuned to the SIweather.com for updates later today and all weekend long. That's it for now. I'm the SI meteorologist, Paul Dorian.